Dealey, and welcome to Something Edible.
One of the things I love about keeping a garden in my backyard is knowing that whatever comes out that year, I'm going to be able to cook. And, you know, if I could plant my whole yard to food instead of grass, I'd probably do it if I didn't get too many grumbles about it. But anyway, this year the pumpkins did pretty good. And I grow these pie pumpkins. So, you know, pumpkin cookies, pumpkin pie, pumpkin cheesecake, all that good stuff. But, you know, you also get these awesome pie pumpkin seeds inside of these pumpkins. And if you're going to roast pumpkin seeds, that's really the seed you want to use. So if you're growing your pie pumpkins, that's really only half the story. So today I'm going to show you how I like to roast my pumpkin seeds and season them with this awesome rosemary sage seasoning that just really kind of brings the whole taste of fall together. So let's get to dissecting some pumpkins and roast some pumpkin seeds. All right, well, I got a couple of favorite knives I like to use. I like this this knife to get me started because it's got this nice kind of almost like a drop point on it. Not quite, but you know, we need to get rid of this stem, and so you want to be careful when you do this, and you sure as heck don't want to saw in there at all, but you want to make your way around this pumpkin to pull this top off, because it's going to be easier to roast your pumpkin later, and it's going to be easier to scrape the seeds out if we start by removing the top. So we should be able to pull this out. Yep, and already we got some really nice seeds here. So just whatever you can get out of here. And it's going to be different with every pumpkin, but generally speaking, 2 of these small to medium pie pumpkins is enough for this recipe. Now, the one thing you'll notice here is that I'm putting all the pumpkin guts in there with it. Don't worry about taking those out. This is actually going to add flavor to your seeds when you cook them down, and I guarantee all this stuff's going to cook out. So I'm going to go ahead and finish prepping these, and then we should be ready by then to start boiling our seeds. All right, so my pumpkins are prepped, and now I'm ready to do these seeds. This is probably the most important step of toasting these seeds. You want to make sure that we've actually saturated these seeds with some flavor, and the best way to do that is a brine. So we're going to start with 6 cups of boiling water here, and to that boiling water we're going to add a 1/4 cup of kosher salt. Wow, is that guy out of his mind? 1/4 cup. You're not going to eat it all though, so don't worry about it. You know, we're going to dump most of it down the drain. So we just want to make sure that we have enough opportunity there to get that seasoning in the salt, or in the seed. We want the salt in the seed. So the other thing we need to add to enhance the pumpkin flavor here is a tablespoon of just plain old sugar. And if it's not quite up to a boil after this, you want to make sure that it's coming up to a boil. This is up to a boil, so we're good to go. Now I'm going to add the seeds that I scraped out of those 2 pie pumpkins. And man, look at all the guts and everything I'm leaving in there. See that? Don't worry about that. What's going to happen is these are going to cook off. Everything's going to kind of come to the top as the pumpkin seeds get saturated with that brine. So you're going to want to watch this at first, because all that pumpkin crud is going to come to the top, and it's going to have a tendency to want to boil over on you. So for the first few minutes, kind of watch it here, and as soon as it comes back up to a boil, you're going to want to turn your heat down to medium-high and watch this stuff for 15 minutes after it returns to a boil. All right, 15 minutes has elapsed. My seeds are done brining, so I'm going to carefully take these back over to my colander. Carefully pouring, watch the steam, and it's time to give everything a rinse. Use cold water here, and what we're looking for is we want all that orange crud to just fall through, or at least separate from the seeds. So that's pretty good. I don't think I need to do too much more than that. I'm going to take these over to this paper towel on the sheet pan. And what needs to happen here is all that extra moisture needs to come off of those. So we just want to make sure that these dry out enough to be able to coat with some oil. And that's going to take maybe about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on how warm it is in your house. I don't know if you can see this, but see that seed, how it's dark in the middle now? That's how you know that this thing took in a lot of brine. So that's a good thing. That means that we've got all that flavor trapped in that seed, so that when it comes time to roast these, they're going to taste like something. So that's good. All right, while we're waiting for our seeds to dry out, we're going to go ahead and make the seasoning. And the key to making a good seasoning here is making sure that everything is pulverized and powdered so it sticks to our seeds. We're going to start out with kosher salt. I believe this is 2.5 teaspoons of kosher salt in there. Now I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of whole black peppercorn and a 1/4 teaspoon of dried rub sage and a 1/4 teaspoon of rosemary. I've done this in a mortar and pestle. You can do this in a spice grinder or a coffee grinder, and you can do this in I got a ceramic grinder that I use for spices. You could do that too, but you know what? I felt like using the mortar and pestle today, so just get in there and get your frustrations out if that's your thing, and just keep on it here, and eventually this is going to turn into a powder. It shouldn't take too long though. All right, it looks like we've got everything pulverized and powdered here. If you don't catch them all, it's not a big deal as long as most of it sticks. See that? That's going to stick to anything, and it's going to make sure that you don't have to use as much salt as you would have needed to in the first place to season these. So if you don't use all of this, it's not a big deal. Just use what you need to make it taste good. So this is ready. We'll go check on our seeds. Okay, so my seeds are dry. Not perfectly dry, but dry enough. Dry enough that I can season these how I want to. So I'm just going to scrape these. They tend to stick to the towel, so I like to use a bench scraper to get most of them off of there. It helps. And we'll see if the rest will dump in there. That'll work. Okay. Sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. This pumpkin had a lot of flesh in it. Well, one of them did, so we're getting a little less seeds. But generally speaking, you can't really over-oil these. I'm only using a tablespoon and a half of extra virgin olive oil here. So anything that doesn't stick to the seed is just going to fall onto the mat. So you can stir these if you want, or you can get in there and use your hands. You did wash your hands, right? Okay. All right, and now we can pan these up and send them to the oven. Over to our sheet pan. And if you don't have a silpat, you can use a little bit of parchment. And if you don't have that, then you can always put them straight on the pan and just do dishes later. All right, these are ready. These are going into the oven for 45 minutes to an hour at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't want to go above 300 and rush these, because above 300 you're probably going to burn those seeds. So we want to roast these slowly and at a lower temperature. 300 is good. And you're going to want to get in here and give these a stir on the mat about every 15 minutes or so. So you want to do that 3 or 4 times. When they smell good and they're golden brown, then it's time to pull them out. And when they go to burn, they're going to burn quick. So better to undershoot here than overshoot. Just look for that golden brown coating on the outside of the seed and you'll know you're good. All right, we are at the end. My oven at 300 takes about 45 minutes. Yours might take longer. Mileage may vary. but these are done. So the key here is while they're still hot, this is the time to season them. So we're going to season them right now. I've got my pulverized salt and seasoning mix, and definitely don't use it all. Save the rest for, like, I don't know, like grilled zucchini. It's pretty good on that. Or I've put this salt on a steak or a burger. It's good on that too. So you don't want to overdo it, but you don't want to underdo it either. But you will have extra. All right, so I've let these cool because you don't want to burn your mouth on some pumpkin seeds. You know, just put them into a dish if you want to, or just eat them straight off the pan. Pretty good. I'm going to adjust the seasoning just a little bit. It's easier to add it after the fact than to take it back. It'll still stick a little bit, but you want to get that first shot initially. Like I said, all the flavors of fall. Sage, rosemary, black pepper. Good stuff. And crisp, too. You can eat the whole shell, and you don't have to worry about doing any messy shelling like some sort of squirrel or something. So if you want to know how to toast your own pumpkin seeds, you can get the recipe at the Hayes Daily News' website, or you can get the recipe plus tips on roasting a pumpkin at my website, somethingedible.com. And if you have any questions, you can hit me up on Twitter or Facebook, and I'll be happy to answer you. So until next time, enjoy. Good.